Hello, welcome back to the channel. Amber here, and today I'm joined by my friend Laura from Brick Without a Wall podcast, and we're going to be talking about some of the theories of season 2. We are halfway there, the middle mark of the season, which is kind of bittersweet because it's halfway over now, and that's kind of sad. But 2 weeks in, that's what you get with 8 episodes, I guess. The first thing that we're going to talk about is Ishamael, which is Laura's favorite character.
I love him.
And yeah, is it the clothes? It's the attitude.
It's it's the fits, it's the confidence, it's how he seems to just be 5 steps ahead of everybody all the time. I love it.
He has the best like aliases as well, like Betrayer of Hope. It's just good.
They're super death metal.
Yeah.
He's got real death metal aliases. It makes him sound like a real badass.
Right? So someone just needs to make like a hardcore band where they're singing Blood for Blood because that was that
Yes.
whole dark prophecy of the episode. That
Yes.
could be a song.
Someone do it, please. Link us to it also.
Yes, please. At me. So Ishamael is showing up multiple occasions throughout season 2. And one of the things that I've not been able to really wrap my head around is whether he is actually there in person or not. So to me, what it seems like, as long as there is more than two people in the room, like if there's a scene with him and more than one person, it seems like nobody sees him. Like all the whole Shan Chen thing, he's standing up on that pyramid with everyone, but nobody's talking to him really. He's just kind of standing there. And we know Ishamael from the books, like he's very capable of getting into someone's head and their dreams. Many of the Forsaken can do this, but it's mostly just a question of, is he actually out in the world free, or is he going through people's minds and manipulating them? In episode 3, he's talking to Perrin, and the wolves come in with Elias and like just walks out the door of the carriage. And I'm like, no, he's a Forsaken. Like, he doesn't have to be afraid of some wolves or some wolf brother guy. He could kill everyone. He can kill everybody. So why did he need to leave? Why is he not taking Perrin captive? But then again, if he's there in a dream, then why did he use the door? I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, I have a couple. I've been thinking about this. Okay, we've got a
Okay,
couple points leaning towards that he's not locked up anymore. He has
right.
his inner circle meeting with all of his friends and his new child protege in episode 1. Like that's where we open. So, and then we've got instances like him getting out of the carriage and things like that. But at the same time, literally nobody seems to mention like that Lady Sauroth has not only her voice, like her public voice, but she's also got some other man up there and everybody just kind of also though, if I were going to astrally project and terrorize somebody out of like the main 5 characters, Perrin would be my first choice.
Yeah,
He
he's the
seems like the
most
most emotionally
troubled.
turbulent of the group
Yeah.
and the easiest to like get inside of his head and start, driving him mad.
So let me say this, because we had Perrin in the wagon and he's like, you're going to go to Falm, but you're never actually going to reach it. And so it seemed to me that Ishamael had plans to take Perrin somewhere else. And now with episode 4, we see that he's trying to get Min to get Matt to Cairhien. So I'm just wondering if, episode 4, we get the Lanfear reveal that she's had Rand and Cairhien this whole time. Is there something about getting everyone to Cairhien that is important to Ishamael's
Yeah.
plan, and why? Like, what's in Cairhien? What's the meaning of moving all of these pieces on the chessboard that's important to Ishamael?
That's a perfect aspect to bring up because I didn't really know how to articulate like the second half of why I actually believe he's astrally projecting while out in the world. And he's got a lot of moving parts in his plans. So we see him at the beginning of episode 4. He's in like that cave structure of some sort. and then he uses the one power in order to, it looked like he was repairing a portal. I haven't read the book, so I'm not sure, but that black door in the ceiling
Yeah.
where we go back and we get to see where he brought Lanfear in, that does make it seem like he's actually out in the world and he's just multitasking. Like he's doing things in the physical realm and then he's multitasking other projects in like astral projection, like getting all of them to, what was it called? Karoth?
Oh, Cairhien.
Cairhien. Yeah. So if he can release Forsaken, astrally project to the focal points like Perrin and them and get everybody where he needs them to be, I mean, honestly, that cuts his work in half.
I just thought of something too while you were talking. Maybe right now, like he's not at full power. So like he can pull Lanfear out of her prison in this like metaphysical realm, which that's what we saw. Like he's
Right.
this like moon dial thing on the like ceiling. It's a seal. So like these seals, it kind of looked like a manhole cover up there. But in the books, like as these things are breaking, more and more of the Forsaken are getting loose, and as more break, like when the last one breaks, that's like the end time. So that's like
Okay.
end game, last battle.
Is, I know this isn't like whole, I guess this is relevant, but I do have a question. Is there anything symbolic about the black stone used in those doors or gates? I
Which
only
one?
ask, well, like, so in that episode when he looks up at that, did you call it a moon door?
It's like a moon dial, like a
Oh, a moon
sundial, kind
dial.
of.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I
when he
think.
looks up at the dial, it's like this really glossy, very pitch black stone. And I ask because
Okay.
you see that in like other works of fantasy too. Like they have these weird tie ins to large, like obsidian like stones.
Okay. Kind of, but no.
Okay.
So, at least in the books, I don't know how the show is going to do it, but in the books, these seals that are unbreakable are made from something called Queen DR, and they cannot be broken. So that's like the first thing that people are realizing. That's what Moiraine finds. She finds a broken seal and she's like, oh, this is made out of Queen DR. These can't be broken. Something's off with the pattern, I guess. Something bad's happening. And she's kind of like putting the pieces of all of these
Okay.
clues together. Now, with him breaking Lanfear out of her prison, it's another indicator that these are something that the Forsaken need, right? Like in the books, these seals are scattered about, and some of them are missing, some of them are found. These seals, if they get into the wrong hands, they can be broken, and that can like speed up the end game. So if like the
Okay.
world isn't ready yet and the last battle comes, the side of the dark has a better chance of winning, I guess. But I'm just wondering if there's something about the location that he's in where he's pulling Lanfear out. If like this is somehow like an energy focus for him, like an area where he's stronger. That's why he's not
Yeah.
out walking around in the world. Like maybe he's stuck in one place. And so he's just currently trying to manipulate people. Okay, so what if Lanfear is really out? He's not fully out. And that's why he wants everyone to go to Cairhien because Lanfear is there and she can do
Would
his dirty
she,
work.
oh, okay. So, oh, that makes sense that they could be, he could be trying to move them to her so she can pick up the next phase of the physical plan.
That it could be, but it's that leaves a lot of big questions for the rest of the season because Ishamael gets killed at the end of the Great Hunt. Like
Oh,
he's gone.
there he
I mean, he
goes.
comes there he goes, but he gets put into a new body and the dark one like spins him back out
He got
again.
spun
So he
back
comes
up.
back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets spun back up.
Yeah.
All right.
And for people watching, I'm not being a jerk. Like, Laura does not care about spoilers. I'm not
No.
that person trying to like ruin anything. But
No, I want to
yeah,
know
like,
everything.
yeah. So I think we could somehow get Ishamael like fully formed by the end of this season. And then
Ooh.
like we have the big duel with Rand and Ishamael. But I don't know. Like there's so many variables and it's really hard trying to figure it out.
I know that Moiraine is working real hard to get Rand ready, but I mean, like, is she really gonna have him ready? Like,
Well,
he seems very disadvantaged against Ishamael. Like, look, even in the
right.
show, he thinks he's channeling, and it's just Lanfear standing behind him and letting him believe it. Like, I guess props to her for trying to up his chances to channel with confidence. But at the same time, like, I feel like he figured it out at the end of episode 4, where he was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, it happens in the books too. Like she's channeling for him in multiple occasions and he thinks he's doing it. But
That would be a bummer to find out later.
well, I guess it's for him in the books it's not because he's not wanting to channel.
Ah,
But I don't know, like with the show, he needs a teacher and he needs one fast. And I think that's like, I guess that leads me to the next question and the next theory, and that's about Logain because
okay.
Moiraine shows up in Cairhien and she's like got the knife and she's
She
like, "You give me what I want, I'll give you what you want," which is assisted suicide, I guess.
while it is devious to do. I mean, like, ethically very questionable on Moraine's part, but as far as like giving somebody what they want in order to get what you want, it is definitely a fruitful means to an end. I also like that she brought the Galanthrian red with her. Like she knew. She knew that she could try with the wine. He wasn't impressed, but so
No.
the knife made a good backup.
Yeah.
Uh I mm, I am really curious as to how Logain is going to positively have an influence on Rand's tutelage.
Especially with like the mental
That's
load that
yeah,
he's
that's
dealing
really what
with.
I'm
Yeah.
getting at, like his headspace. I understand that like where he's at in his headspace is very run of the mill for what he's experienced, but how is he going to surmount those obstacles this quickly and be like, you know what? I'm just here for the greater good. Let me guide Rand. Because
Okay, so I've
I
thought
mean,
about
won't it
this a
take
little bit.
some investment from him to actually do a good job teaching Rand, since Rand is resistant to even wanting to channel? And has he even like had really successful channels outside of like that one meeting at the end of season 1?
Right, right. He's not in control at all. And the thing, okay, so two questions here.
Okay.
Is Logain mentally stable enough to teach him? And then secondly, can it even work well if he was, in his right capacity? Can someone who can't channel adequately teach because he's been gentled? So I don't even know if it's can he really teach Rand what Rand needs to know without being able to channel himself? Like, can he
That's a
coach him
good
through it without fully being able to touch the source himself? And with the first question, we see Moiraine in season 2, and she's been cut off. She can't channel. And it's frankly a miracle that she has not like killed herself at this point. And
right.
that's one of the things in the books where if you've been cut off from the source, you have to find something that you are so extremely passionate about that it gives you the will to live, I guess. Like it's like a distraction, but it has to be like something you're like in deep with and you have to have like a life's purpose and a life's work. And with Moiraine, it's Rand and the Dragon Reborn, like finding him and making sure the side of the shadow doesn't win. So I feel like that's the only reason that she's really, I don't want to say thriving, but compared to someone else in that position, she is.
I mean, compared to
So,
Logain, she's absolutely thriving.
right. So if Logain finds something to be passionate about, would he somehow start to kind of be in a better place mentally, I guess? But it's going to take like a very clear decision on his behalf to like come into this and do it at 100%. And I don't know if he's there yet. So,
That would be my question is while Moiraine finds Rand and the Dragon Reborn to be something that she's passionate about, like her life's work, is Logain going to feel as altruistically about it as Moiraine does?
right,
Because
right.
from what we saw of him in season one, it doesn't seem like he's necessarily the most altruistic person. And even in season two, he's still going on about how he is the Dragon Reborn, and he hasn't seemed to have fully accepted that it wasn't him.
Oh, that is a really good point.
You want the person who believes in their soul that they are the Dragon Reborn and that the Aes Sedai robbed them of that. And then you want that person to be the mentor for the actual Dragon Reborn who wants nothing to do with being the Dragon Reborn. It seems like,
He's going to need a come to the creator moment, like a
yeah,
miracle. Like he's going to need
is
to
this
see
his
Rand.
redemption arc?
It has to be. It
It
has
has
to
to
be.
be. This
He's
has to
going
be
to
Logain's
see,
redemption.
oh man, he's going to have to witness something that fully in his mind proclaims Rand as the Dragon Reborn. So he's going to need to see something wild happen to finally give up on his hope.
Do you think it'll be that he needs to see Rand channel successfully?
I don't think so because a lot of male channelers can successfully channel. I feel like it's going to have to be like something tied in with prophecy or something
Okay.
like that.
Something
Like,
a little more clear cut.
right, like a Forsaken popping up out of nowhere and being like calling Rand loose Theron or something. Like,
Ah, okay.
so like he's going to need to witness something wild to really believe that he's not the Dragon Reborn and to believe
Maybe
Rand is.
everybody being brought to the same area where Rand's already at is going to have to do with what brings Logain to his come to the creator
Ooh,
moment where
I like that.
he'll be like, maybe I'm not the Dragon Reborn, but I can still play a role in impact.
I like that. I like that. But I'm also scared because we're getting all of these people to go to Cairhien, and right now, Moiraine can't channel. Land's not there. Rand can barely channel. Matt doesn't have any redeeming qualities at this moment. He's not like
He did Egwene so dirty. I don't even like her. But the way he just walked away from her when she was sobbing in a dark courtyard, like he was like, I don't have time for this. I got a horse to catch.
yeah.
Like, guy,
Uh,
come on. He didn't
and
even
then I
warn
mean,
her.
no,
Not even
no.
a hey, Leandrin's taking people hostage. Just thought you'd know. I gotta go. See you later. Best of luck. He was just like,
Right.
fuck it, Gwen. Like, I gotta go. Sorry, you can cut that if you need to.
So yeah. And then this brings in another question. So, if we do end up establishing Logain as Rand's mentor, teacher, whatever, in the books, it's Asmodean, who's one of the Forsaken, who's teaching him. So, does that mean that we're not going to get Asmodean and that Rand just stays with Logain and Logain's like the new mentor and we don't get this Forsaken that comes in and teaches Rand? Because frankly, Asmodean is a pretty fun character. He's undercover as a gleeman, so he's just like wailing out nasty riffs on his harp all day and teaching Rand how to channel. I don't know. He's delightful. I like him. I could see if you have an actor like Alvaro Morte that you'd want to keep him and you'd want to give him a prominent role so that he stays on board with the project from, beginning to end.
Right.
So, questions.
Mm. I would hope from what you've described that they don't combine the characters, but also within what you've described, logistically, I could see how they could.
There's also, there's also the theory that Logain gets merged with Andral, who is a character from like book 11, I want to say.
Okay, that's pretty far out.
Right? But Andral, like being a weak channeler, if you heal Logain, you could potentially heal him not to full strength. So he's like, oh, I can channel just a little wimpy baby amount of channeling. And then you could have Andral doing all the same things that Andral does because Andral's not extremely powerful. You just
Don't
had a.
I I agree, but at the same time, like the psychological repercussions of them healing him enough just to be the weakest channeler out there seems like a recipe to just ask him to lose it again. Like,
So no growth. He just goes back
no, there'd
to.
be no. Do you really think that he
Mhm.
would have grown enough to be like, I appreciate what I got? I'd be mad if I were him. If they were like, yeah, we can heal you, but we're only going to give you like the slightest heal,
Well, it wouldn't
just
be on
enough.
it wouldn't be on purpose. It would just be
Oh,
like he got
okay.
healed.
I took it as like an intent thing. Like, we're only going to heal this one to this point. We don't need him causing a ruckus with powerful channeling.
Logain bring the ruckus.
I mean, he did kind of
Uh,
bring the ruckus in season one.
season
Everybody
one.
was like, this
To
man
the
is way too.
dragon.
Yeah. Oh, man. Now I'm gonna be thinking about that because there's, like you said, there's possible mergers that could be made between characters with him. Can he grow enough for this? If he does grow, it's his redemption arc.
Also, can he teach him enough that Rand needs to know by the end of the season so that Rand can actually do anything? We've got 4 episodes left.
I feel like one of the Forsaken does seem like a better option for Rand's tutor right now. I mean, I know that that's not like the ideal solution, but as far as getting Rand where he needs to be in channeling, it seems like it would be easier if you had somebody who could still channel and who wasn't trying to fight the emotional battle of their life.
There's also the possibility that Rand doesn't really learn how to channel this
Ooh.
season and he has to rely on his sword skills, which we haven't seen yet.
I was like, his sword skills. I know his dad is a badass. I love his
Mhm.
dad. Excellent season one character. But I mean, I've seen Rand swing a sword a couple times, but I didn't know that Rand was like any sort of world class swordsman. Like,
At, at this point in the books, like he's pretty much a blade master. Like
oh, okay.
he
Okay.
becomes a blade master in this
Why does the
book.
show leave that out?
Apparently, in season 1, there were training montages or training scenes
What?
with Lan that got cut.
Oh, okay. I was like, I've watched that season multiple times and never seen a
Yeah.
single training montage for Rand. Okay, so knowing that Rand is a blade master by this point would have, in my opinion, would have been an important, like, even if you work it in a small way, would have been important context for the show.
I think that was one of the points of bringing Errol, the guy in episode 2 of season 2, the old man that's
Okay.
he's
He's a
taking
blade
care of as a blade
master.
master.
I love
Yeah,
him.
I know. I hope he's well.
I hope Harold's living his best life.
Yeah, same.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense but that is a really passive way to make it seem like Rand has learned anything.
Right. We haven't had any opportunity to see him
Cutting it up.
grow, yeah, with sword or with channeling, which I think that's okay as long as the end of the series isn't going to be him out in a like army of one, right? Like if he has a posse and he's got people fighting with him, I think it can be done. But if he's out there alone, he
I
doesn't stand a
don't
chance.
I'll be honest, the last thing I wanna see at the end of this season is Rand as an army of one and Rand, uh here's another thing, like, when we were talking about, like, how's he gonna learn this stuff, him being a blade master, here's what would not be enjoyable, is if suddenly we enter a scene where Rand is a blade master and we have no real explanation of how he got there in the show. I mean, in the books
Right.
you do, but for anybody who hasn't read the books, like, I'm gonna be like, "Oh, so he's just magically adept at
Hmm.
swords," like, that would be kind of like, I don't know, a letdown. I don't want to. I like the time of heroes just like stumbling into things or just magically knowing everything. That it's low content.
What I think is going to happen is because in episode 4, Alana and her warders find the piece of parchment that Lan stole from Moiraine that says, you know, daughter of the night, Lanfear, etc. I think Lan's going to find out in the next episode and be like, I need to get to Cairhien. I need to get to Moiraine. She's in danger.
Mm,
And then we're going to regroup. And then we're going to have Lan back with Rand. And in the books, that's how he does all of his training, is with Lan.
okay.
So maybe we'll get like a, you know, Rocky training montage with
So
Rand and
Rand
Lan.
and Rand and Land. Uh,
They're running around the running around the castle doing laps.
running
Da-da-da,
up the stairs,
da-da-da.
dressed like me.
Punching bags of punching meat.
It's got a bit of real Rocky feel.
I just heard
I
someone talking about that recently. I don't remember who it was, but
I feel
thank
like the
you.
show has put a lot more effort into making it clear that Rand being Aiel means that he comes from a culture of warriors, which I get, but if that is the supporting basis for Rand being a blade master, uh, I think they could have done better there.
Yeah,
Hopefully we see some training montages this season that'll kind of like bring Rand's current position to where it probably should be right now in the show versus the books.
we need some type of pairing. We need a blade master training, we need a channeling training, and
He's got a
then
lot to do in 4 episodes.
right, right. So I'm okay, here's another thing. If that's the case, and if the rumors about the episode titles are correct, it almost seems like we are going to spend like 3/4 of the second half of the season in Cairhien,
Ooh.
which personally, I'm totally okay with that. There's a lot of politicking that happens in Cairhien. We still have Barthanes to meet, who is a book character that we know has been cast. But I guess that leads me to the next theory, and that's that Lady Envers, Moraine's sister,
Mhm.
she mentions in episode 4 that her son is engaged to the queen.
I heard
Now,
that.
yeah, in the books, it's a king, it's King Galdrian. But the king's like rival, I guess, in the books is Barthanes.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if it's possible that they move Barthanes as Barthanes in the books as Moraine's, I think, cousin. What if they moved him to be her nephew? And Barthanes in the books is a dark friend. So that would make the line by her sister that says, no one will ever be able to spit in House Damodred's face ever again. And if they introduce Barthanes as, God, as Moraine's nephew, I think if they changed Barthanes to Moraine's nephew, it could be very compelling in terms of like how distraught. I mean, how awful would it be if you've her sister fought to bring her house back to its like restored glory of olden time status. And like it turns out that her son is a filthy dark friend. I mean, I kind of love it, but
I love it
I don't
too. I do
know.
love that. I like Moraine's sister, and I did find it amusing how she was like, "Moiraine, do not make problems now that you're here. I've worked too hard for this. Like, you are not going to drop in and ruin everything." But if it turns out that her son is a dark friend, this family drama is about to turn up to a 12.
I
Like,
know, I
this
like
is going to
it.
be delightful.
I like it. I think I think that would be interesting too because it Maureen doesn't care. You know, like she's focused on one thing and one thing only, and it is not her sister and it is not her house. But
No.
that would really bring in like a whole lot of politics that we haven't really gotten to see yet in the show. I mean, in the books, I mean, it's a huge part of the story about the whole like game of houses. So bring it in. I'd be happy, especially if Barthanes is like wheeling and dealing with other dark friends. And what if that's how they got their position? I mean, what if that's how they've been restored? Is like
Ooh, that would make sense.
through having connections
I would
that way.
also like to really see some physical. I'm trying to think of the best way to put. I would like to see physical rewards, like tangible rewards happen for dark friends because as of right now in the show, I don't fully comprehend what the benefit of being a dark friend actually is. So, seeing somebody's like the Damodred house be restored for being a dark friend puts like what the benefits package of it is into perspective because I mean,
Ooh, yeah.
if we're talking about the sides of light and dark, there's got to be benefits to each side. And altruism and self righteousness isn't really a benefit you're going to get on the dark side. So I would assume
Right.
that there'd be some more tangible benefits.
Some perks. Yeah.
Yeah, like the Forsaken seem to not be able to die.
That's okay. That's really weird to me because in the
Is
books,
that not
like,
a
even,
book thing?
yeah, like if you're Forsaken in the book, like you still have a human body. Like someone, stabs you
Okay.
through the chest and slits your throat, you're gone.
You think it
So
was do you think it was done to give contextual relevance for how powerful Lanfear is that like she's
I
so
think so.
powerful Moiraine can commit a felony attempted murder and she's like, I'm gonna lay here for a minute, but it'll be okay. I'll be back.
Yeah. Yeah, it has to be.
Okay.
That's I think too, like visually, like it makes a lot more sense to show it versus tell it and just have someone explain, like, oh, well, the Forsaken, they're so powerful. Like, you don't
Right.
want to go on a monologue explaining.
No, and that moment did put it into context, like how powerful Lanfear is, even compared to like Moiraine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. The last character that we haven't touched on is Leandrin. And
My second favorite.
yeah, so in the first half of season one, we spend a lot of time with Leandrin. We get to know about her son, who is somewhere around like 80 years old. And we now know with episode 4 that Leandrin is a dark friend by her having Min take Matt to this inn, and then Leandrin scheduled, I guess, a Skype conference with Ishamael to show
Yeah.
up for Min. And again, this is another instance where it really does seem like Ishamael is using dreams because Min is dreaming when he shows up. Like she's dreaming of her aunts and, nightmares even. So like I think this is really like the first time where I'm like, "Oh, that's definitely
Yeah.
a dream. Definitely a dream."
I at first I was like, okay, why would Leandrin do this? Because she's one of those characters who's wildly self-righteous and then belligerently confident about it, which I
Mhm.
love about her in a character, but the
Super
part
true
about
to the books too.
the part about her son though gives access to her being able to be a pawn because Ishamael can come in and be like, well, I know about your son, and unless you do what I want, I'm going to do what I want. But it also goes to say, like, one thing I did like, and that actually does support, I think, her being like a dark friend by force, is when Nynaeve shows up and she's bringing Egwene, because that was obvious. Like, of course, Egwene's not going to be like, okay, see you later, bestie. Of course, she's going to
Right.
be like, no, I'm coming with you. But what nobody expected was Elaine to tag along.
Right.
And Leandrin walks out and sees Elaine and is like, that's not going to work. Like, nope,
Yeah.
change of plans. Everybody go back to bed and
Yeah.
I'll sort this out later. Because the addition of Elaine means the kingdom of Andor at your throat. Like, I
Right.
feel like the White Tower does not want issues with Andor right now. And by inserting Elaine into this fiasco with Ishamael, that would be nothing but bringing problems that are much bigger than the scope of what Leandrin can publicly manage.
Right.
She doesn't have the
Right.
right publicist for that.
No. No.
No.
If we explore the idea that she's like a sympathetic dark friend, like
I
perhaps someone knows about her son and they're leveraging this information against her, like, hey, you do what we want and we'll keep your son a secret, and also you work for us now. Like the dark friends are like a mafia.
I mean,
but
kind of.
but there's also the fact that there are moments where Leandrin seems legitimately upset with. Okay, so when Nynaeve says that she's going into the Arches, I assumed that Leandrin's been hyping her up this whole time to get her in the Arches so that she dies. I think Leandrin thought if she could push her in there early, she wouldn't come back out.
I hadn't thought about that.
So there's this moment when she tells Nynaeve, or she asks if you're ready, and Nynaeve's like, I'll do it. Leandrin makes a face and closes her eyes for a second, like she's either relieved or guilty. Like there's a look for like a split second. And then when Nynaeve doesn't come back out, Leandrin smashes that vase. Like she's upset and genuinely like overhead launches this thing. She didn't have an audience. There was no need to pretend this, have this show of anger or grief or whatever. So why do it unless she's being like pushed into this unwillingly? And like maybe she doesn't hate Nynaeve, she doesn't want to get this woman killed, but also maybe she does, and maybe like Nynaeve would have been the ticket to healing her son. Like, hey, there's also the aspect where like maybe she went to the side of the dark because she was looking for someone to heal her son or make sure that her son could be reborn or respun out or whatever, like some type of closure with him. And like maybe she made a deal to save him because she can't go to another Aes Sedai to save him. So when she meets Nynaeve, who's going to be this like amazing healer and channeler, maybe like that's the death of Nynaeve would like be the X on the option of Nynaeve being able to heal him. But I don't know. There's a lot of.
I like that too, that Nynaeve could be her ticket out of being exploited by dark friends. If Nynaeve could heal her son and then she could get her son out of Tar Valon, because that would obviously need to happen.
Mhm.
There's only like, how much damage can it really do to her if the White Tower finds out she has a child? Is this like an
I don't.
excommunication level infraction, or will
It
they
could
just
be,
kind of give
yeah.
her a slap on the wrist kind of thing? Like, you shouldn't have done that, and you know that.
It could be either, but even a
Okay.
slap on the wrist would mean like her losing any status she has in her Aja. So
That doesn't
like
seem desirable for her.
she would be shunned, I feel like, too, just by the Reds.
Man, the Aes Sedai need to review their like standard book of procedures, because the way they have it set up actually like makes it really easy for the Dark One and Ishamael to get in there and leverage their people
Oh,
against
yeah.
them. Like, because they won't accept people doing things like, whether it was a mistake or not for Leandrin to have a child, it happened. She has one, she kept it. The fact that she faces like shunning and punishment in exchange for that opens her up to the other side, like
Yeah,
easily. Because if they're
absolutely.
like, come over here, you can have kids, that's fine. We're not going to hurt your kids.
The White Tower is a whole chicken and egg situation.
Yeah.
The institution itself has really nosedived in terms of like what it used to stand for. Like back when they made it, it was something different. And, the Aes Sedai were servants, like they helped people. But in like the early times up till now, I mean, Ishamael has said stuff like, oh, like I control the White Tower. I've had my hand in the White Tower for thousands of years. So, like, when you get to current age, third age Wheel of Time, the biggest Aja inside the White Tower is the Black Aja. So, like, you don't know how long the tower has been infiltrated full of dark friends, but also you don't know if it was infiltrated in the first place because of their weird rules and exceptions and everything that they've decided they need to like I guess structure things. So like
Right.
did they open themselves up to it or did it just get infiltrated and then like the cracks widened as time went on?
I could
And
see it being either,
right,
honestly.
kind of like self-fulfilling, like a little bit of each over time and then it just exposes how easy it is to take control of like the highest, I guess, political power in the world, I guess. It's
Well,
interesting though.
that's really like what we're talking about here is like the political dynamic within the White Tower opening itself up to the antagonistic dynamic from the Dark One and their followers. Like,
Right.
I mean, like we were saying, it makes it easy to get in there and exploit Aes Sedai, their standard operating procedures, the way that they conduct business, their political leanings and implementation of like guidelines and rules open them up to interference from the Dark One and their legion of followers. I don't know what else
They're
because there's like
cronies.
different there's Forsaken, there's Ishamael who seems to be of their own, like I sit at the right hand of the Father.
Right.
Like that's the Jesus in the scenario.
Mm,
So we've got Ishamael, then we've got the Forsaken, then we have Dark Friends, and the dark side seems to have like different, legions within their operation, and so does the Aes Sedai, obviously. But the Aes Sedai have really put themselves up for interference just in how they conduct business and how they treat their own people.
yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what Leandrin's real motivations are for the things that she does. Because at this point in time, I can't believe that she is faking her anger when Nynaeve didn't come out of the arches.
Right. It
But
didn't seem fake, especially because the only two people she was with and like that Leandrin was standing there with were two people who don't seem to like have any lost love for Leandrin. I can't remember their names though. The one is the mistress of novices,
Shiriam and Leanne, I
Shiriam and
think.
Leanne. Shiriam seems more neutral towards Leandrin than Leanne does, but it was made very clear in episode 4 that Leanne has no time for Leandrin, doesn't want to hear it, and thinks that she should stay in her own lane.
That moment where they have that meeting and she's like,
That's
I'm the
exactly what I'm thinking.
Amerlin
Yeah,
when the
she was like,
Amerlin is
"I
away.
speak." Yeah, "I speak for the Amerlin when the Amerlin is away." In that moment, I was like, "Ooh, Leanne, you're letting Leandra know what's up. Like, I'm not here for your shit, ma'am."
The thing that's interesting about that is in the books, okay, so in the show, we had that quote where somebody says something about Leandrin's little cabal. In the books, it's not Leandrin, it's someone else who's like leading this little cabal, I guess. And that makes me wonder if they're going to merge Elaida with
Okay.
Leandrin, because we have not we have not once got any mention of Elaida in both seasons. But they've went out of their way to mention a character named Cadsuane twice, who is, it's hard to say, but like I would say they're of equal importance.
Okay.
And not mentioning Elida, I feel like it's a really strange thing if they're going to actually include her. So,
Yeah, it does seem like it seems like a flag that her character's being merged to somebody else, and the most reasonable conclusion from that would be that they've merged her to Leandrin.
right. So I think that's a possibility. And if we don't have Elida, that means that we need a new connection for the White Tower and Andor, because Queen Morghese has a sister like in court advising her, and in the books it's Elaida. If we don't have her, then we need a new one,
Okay.
which brings me to the next theory, that they put Cadsuane in that position, because word on the street is that Sheree Agdalashu was caught filming in Prague for
Ooh, I can't
season
wait.
3,
I can't
but she's
wait to see her.
right?
I don't care what she does. I hope
She's
she's
so good.
Cadswain. From everything
Same,
we've spoken
same.
about, I can't accept anything but her being Cadsway, but outside of that, I'm just excited to see this actress join the cast because she reminds me a lot of Kate Fleetwood in the way that she just makes scenes better because she is such a skilled and talented actress.
Yeah, agreed, agreed, hands down.
I
She
am
is that
excited about how
good.
many really good actors and actresses they're casting in this show. I think it's going to do like that in itself speaks very highly of where the show's going.
Yeah, so possible Leandrin and Elida merger, and then Cadsuane takes over the political role of Elida and gets put in court in Andor, which that is tantalizing,
So
tantalizing.
we've got a split theory here. So the core theory is that Elida is going to be skipped over for casting. And then like the next stage is that her character is actually going to be split between two characters.
Yeah.
I think that would be the smart way to do it too, because I think it would be hard
Mhm.
to put Leandrin fully in Elida's spot
Yeah,
at this
absolutely.
point in the game, like with what they're doing. But yeah, combining her and Cadswain, like Leandrin and Cadswain to replace, or I guess to would it be replacing or filling in, like
Yeah, it would be like you're you're cutting Elida in
subbing?
half and
Yeah.
putting 2 of her parts to different people, I guess.
But I mean,
Yeah.
if they do it the way that you were talking about, it would make sense. And I think that it would actually work for how they're playing out the story in the show.
Yeah. I mean, I know, like, it's not something that people wanna hear. For me, like, it's kind of nice not knowing what's gonna happen, and this is the type of stuff that I enjoy. Like, how is this gonna work? How are they gonna move this over here, and how are they gonna do that? And if you get a one-to-one adaptation, like, I'm sorry, but that would be so boring. Like, that would be so boring. I don't wanna know every single thing that happens. I can read the books anytime, so
Right.
why? Not necessary, for
No,
me
I
anyways.
agree. One to one adaptations from books to shows are unrealistic. I mean,
Word.
they just are. There's a million reasons why they'd be delightful and an equal amount of reasons as to why they don't work. But the
Agreed.
way that they're doing things right now, like with taking 8 episodes, so you have 8 hours, you know, where you can show how you want to tell the stories. And it's for books 2 and 3, correct?
Mhm.
It's a lot of book time to get into 8 hours, but I do think that they're doing like a skillful job of it right now. Like where we're
I
at in
think so
episode 4,
too.
this has been a delightful season. I love it.
Yeah. I'm enjoying this season so much more than the first season, because there has been a level of complexity that I think is a step up in terms of all of the little side things happening, the new stuff that they've added, the more time spent with characters that you don't get to see as much in the books. And yeah, like I think it's very enjoyable. So,
Yeah. I actually would really like now that I've been like kind of resting with this idea, I think Leandrin would make a great dark friend.
oh yeah. I mean, it's
She's going to be a great asset for them to pick up if they can. Like
right.
she'll shine over there.
Right. In the books it's like she's a dark friend, but it's just like she does this one thing and then you don't really hear from her anymore. So it's like, if you have Kate Fleetwood, use her. Like, use
Right.
her. You don't
Right.
want her story to end at this season. Like, she's that good and she brings a lot to the show. So I could definitely get behind her character getting a merger, I guess. Yeah.
Definitely. I would love to
Any
see her go dark.
any last thoughts before we wrap it up?
I'm really excited to watch episode 5. I want to see what not Land, but I want to see what Rand's long-term reaction to finding out about land fear is. Because I mean, really, he's kind of the information's kind of like hurtled on him in a moment where by Moiraine, who runs in the door and kills her, and well, kills her.
Oh, I have an
So
idea.
yeah, and then Rand's upset with Moraine, and she's like, "I'm an Aes Sedai, I can't lie." And he's like, "Okay, yeah, let's go, but I want to know like what is this conversation that him and Moraine are about to have? Because I feel like Rand's not going to be pleased with her. She's going to spend her time rationalizing why she couldn't tell him anything, and then she's just going to be like, "Don't forget that I can't lie. Believe me."
Believe me. I'm almost wondering if that's what Logain needs to see to become the mentor that he needs to be. What if, Lanfear shows back up in Cairhien and like proclaiming herself and
Talking about that's my Rand, or
well, yeah, like
okay,
that's Rand is the reincarnation of her ex-lover. So like if she's like, I'm here for Luce Theron, not you, old guy, the redhead.
yeah.
That would
Oh,
do it.
that's brilliant. That would get his redemption arc going.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be a good way to do it. And if everybody's like converging in one
Hmm.
specific area, it does set it up for Logain to be shown the truth in a way that will permeate through his feelings about it. That's good. I
We'll
like
see.
that. Ooh, I can't wait to see. They just release the other 4 episodes all at once. Don't be stingy
Right?
about it. But then it's depressing, because then you have longer to
It's gone.
wait. Then it's
Yeah.
gone.
Okay, I think I'm going to wrap it up. So, thanks for watching. Let us know if any of these theories you like. Let us know. There's probably some you don't like. I will be back with more breakdowns, more highlights of the rest of the season. Laura here will be joining me for more of those episodes. So, if you like the theory stuff, let me know, and we will see you back next time.